right, hi. Welcome to another Tipsy Tuesdays. I am Arkia Higgs, and if you are catching the replay, I am the Bahamian Dream Starter. I'm a physical therapist with a deep passion to help women to discover, cultivate, and to manifest their God given dreams. So today I will be speaking about, let me get my topic. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's my topic for this evening. Ain't nobody got time for that with this whole pandemic and everything that's going on right now. There are so many different emotions, so many different feelings that we are all experiencing at this time. I know even in my own country, there are many persons who are struggling to make it from day to day. There are many persons who don't know where the next meal is coming from. They don't know how the bills are going to get paid. And it's a very, very difficult time. So when I say that my topic is Ain't Nobody Got Time for That, I am not talking about time in terms of hours, minutes. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about time in terms of a process. And I just want to give you a little definition about time. One of the definitions is that it is an indefinite, continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole. So I want to talk about time being a process. Time is a process that we all have to go through. There's a process that you may have to go through, that I have to go through, and our process may not be the same, but there is a process that we all must go through. And I just want to say that at the end of this month, I'm going to be launching a program that if you have difficulty, wondering, which direction to go in, if you are having difficulty, about managing your finances or anything along that lines, and you need some guidance, you never really knew what to do, then I want you to join me at the end of the month, or I want you to send me a message at my inbox, and then I will give you some more information, okay? So like I said, hi Nishka. So like I said, we're talking about time today. So, and I alluded to the fact that we're not talking about times in terms of minutes and hours, but we're talking about time in terms of a process that we all have to go through, okay? So I just want to allude to the story of Joseph. So Joseph, he was a dreamer. And when Joseph was really young, God basically showed him what his future would be. He showed him that he would rule over his father, his brothers, his siblings. He showed him being above and over each of those persons. But what God didn't show Joseph when he had that dream was he didn't show him the process that he would have to go through. He didn't show him the fact that he would be thrown in a pit. He would be sold into slavery. He didn't show him that part. He didn't show him that he would become a ruler and then be thrown back into jail. He didn't show him that part. But what he showed him was the end. The end where he basically became the prime minister over Egypt. So it's a process that we all have to go through. And God, he does not show us, he doesn't show us the in-between. He doesn't show us all of that. But that process, the process of time, is something that you have to hold on in the midst of, because you cannot get to the end if you let go. So if Joseph had given up, if Joseph had decided to commit suicide while he was in the pit, 1 second.
I need you to open this up for me 1 minute.
I on a live. Sorry, go ask your daddy to open it up. Go ahead. Sorry. So, if Joseph had decided to let go whilst he was in the pit, whilst he was in jail, if he had decided to give up, he would have never accomplished being a prime minister over Egypt. He would have never have been able to be a bridge or a source of help for his family. The very same family members who turned their backs on him, he would not have been able to help them. So in the midst of their process, as I think each and every one of us are going through a process in some degree, I encourage you and I admonish you to hold on and don't give up. Don't give up. Whatever amount of strength that you could find to hold on to in this difficult time, in this difficult season, do not give up. And with that being said, this is Tipsy Tuesdays, so I really want to look at time being a process. I want to give you some tips about how you can deal with the process that you may be going through right now. Okay? So, the first thing that you have to do is that you have to make an assessment. You have to make an assessment of the situation, your current situation that you are in. Take time to look at it for what it really is. Look at your situation for what you see it as, not what you want it to be, but for what it really is. Look at the situation as that. The next thing you have to do, you have to accept whatever your situation is. Just accept it for what it is. Not what you want it to be, but for what it really is. And that may be something that is a point of brokenness for you. It may be something that may be hurt. It may be disbelief. It may be something that you do not want to accept. Maybe it's something that happened in the past. Maybe it's something that happened presently, and you do not want to accept it for what it is. But I want you to accept whatever that thing is. If you have to cry, if you have to hurt, whatever it is, I want you to accept it. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to look at the situation from a different perspective. Because it's easy to get caught up in our feelings. It's easy to get caught up in what we want, the things that we desire. It is so easy to get caught up in that. Just using for an example, you may be in a relationship or you may be in a friendship and somebody may have hurt you. It's easy for you to look at that person from the opposite end and say, you know what? He said something that really made me feel bad. Or he did something like, how could he be so inconsiderate? How can she be so inconsiderate about me and my feelings? You may be looking at it like that. But for a moment, for a brief moment of time, put the shoes on the other foot and think about, what did this person see when I responded to them, when I walked in the room, when I spoke, or when I said whatever it was that I had to say? How would they have felt based on my tone, based on my facial expression? How would they have felt? Would they have been hurt? Would have they felt like they were offended or disregarded? How would they have felt? If you were in their shoe, how would you receive it? And when you begin to look from a different perspective, you begin to understand that person better. You begin to relate to that person better because you realize that it's not all about you. And the thing about process, when we go through process sometimes in life, it is not for us, but it is for somebody else. It could be for a child. It could be for your child, another family member. It could be for your future. It could be for future generations to come. But if you fail to go through this process, you will never reach the ultimate dream, the ultimate goal that you have to accomplish. So take a moment to put the shoe on the next foot and look at things from a different perspective. Even if you have to ask somebody, hey, what do you think about this situation? Because it's easy to get caught up in our feelings. It's easy to just see things one way. But open up your heart, open up your mind to see things differently, and you would be amazed of the enlightenment that you will receive. Okay? The next tip is this. You have to create a game plan. And this is so important because so many times in life, we talk about it year after year. We set these goals to lose weight. We set goals to, save money for whether it's a trip, a house, a home, a car, maybe to get life insurance. I don't know what it is, but we say these things, right? And then using this pandemic for an example, I know there are some persons who may be in a position where, their finances are good and it's stable, but there are a lot of people out there who are hurting. They are hurting because they do not have, the finances, and they are going through what we are talking about, a process, a time of test, a time of trials, a time of struggles. This is what some persons are going through at this time. So in the midst of your process, after you have cried, after you have thrown a fit, whatever it may be, in the midst of your process, I want you to create a game plan. Because what I realize is that life is a cycle. It's a cycle. And even when we look at the economy, we know that at some point in the economy, you always have an up period, a down period, where a recession comes. Periodically, every few years, we go through a recession. So we know it's going to come. So whatever struggle, whatever battle that you may be fighting, this is something that is not going to come at you once and then it's going to go away. It is something that will happen again and maybe again. But because we know that the enemy, our adversary, the devil, he uses the same tricks and strategies over and over again. He may change the game, but the tactics are still the same. And because we know that, we now need to get smart. So you need to look at that situation. Look at it for what it is. And as you begin to assess it, look at all the downfalls. Was there any mistakes that you made? Was there anything that you could have done to prepare for this situation to make it turn out any better? Whether that was taking out $10 or $5 out of your salary. Hi, Charity. Whatever it is, I want you to look at that situation, whatever struggle, whatever battle it is that you're going through. And I want you to get a pen. I want you to get a piece of paper. And I want you to create your game plan. Create your game plan for how you are going to respond. And that may not necessarily be something tangible. It may not necessarily mean taking $5, taking $10 and putting it up. It may not be that. It may be creating a game plan for how am I going to respond emotionally in the midst of a test or trial, in the midst of some misagreements or whatever it is between you and somebody else. It may be creating a game plan to say, you know what, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to respond. I'm going to wait. I'm going to think this through, and then I'm going to respond. Okay? So we have to think about it, and you have to create your plan. You have to be strategic. Because I realize, like I say, the enemy, he comes at us the same way over and over and over again. So what I realize is that when you begin to learn the way of the enemy, you realize how he moves and how he works. Now, when that situation happens again and you realize that certain pattern begins to happen again, you say, okay, I realize, something is about to kick up right here. Something is about to start brewing right here. And now you have your game plan that when this thing starts to kick up, I now know how to respond. And you have to make your mind up. You have to have a made up mind that no matter what happens, I am going to be committed to the process. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about process. We're talking about the struggles and the battles that we all have to face from time to time, and that many of us are facing even now in the midst of this pandemic. You have to be committed to your process. Like Joseph, he didn't give up. His faith was secure. Joseph believed in the dream that God gave him. Despite all of the battles, despite of everything that came up against him, he believed. His faith was sure. And in the coming weeks, I am going to be talking about the story of Joseph and how he went through his process. And I hope that it will be of some encouragement for you. The next thing I want to talk about is that you have to reassess the situation. So we're talking about some of the things that you could do as you go through your process. And the first thing was that you have to assess the situation. The second thing was that you have to create a game plan. And the last thing we're going to talk about is you have to reassess the situation. So after you would have made your assessment, you would have created your game plan. There's going to come time when you need to sit down. Take a moment to sit down and to reassess. What is it that's working? What's not working? What do I need to change? You have to reassess. Okay? And that means maybe changing up your goals. That means changing up your strategies. That means, just changing up the way you do things. And that may mean just sitting down and talking with someone again and asking them, what do you think that I could do differently to make this go differently? We don't want to be living our life in a cycle, going around the same mountain over and over, not changing anything. We want to be a source of strength, even to our brothers and our sisters and our family members and our friends, because sometimes we see them going around the same mountain. But is there something that you can do to break that cycle? To break the cycle in your life? To break the cycle in the life of your family members? Is there something that you can do? What is it? So I want you to take some time tonight to really sit down and look at your process. And each one of our process is different. This pandemic is affecting each of us in a different way. And what you may be experiencing may not be what I am experiencing. But we all have to get through it, because there is a promise for each one of us. And the only way that we can get to that promise is to hold on. And it's not to let go. It's not to let go. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for coming and taking the time to listen. And like I was saying earlier, at the end of this month, I have a big surprise. I'm going to be launching something to help you. I want to support you. I want to help you to make some changes in your life. So I really want you to look out for that. And if you are someone who, you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or, you feel like you're working so hard and you don't have anything to show for it, but you want to be in control. You want to be in control of your finances. You want to have peace of mind. You want to know that, hey, the bills are paid at the end of the month. If you are tired of struggling from day to day, and you truly want a change, I want to help you with that. And like I was talking about this evening, you have to create a game plan. And one thing that I've learned is that a lot of us, we want to do better. We want to do better, but we don't necessarily know how to do better. And I had to learn the hard way. I had to make a lot of mistakes. And I beat myself up so many times saying, if I had only know better. But I want to help somebody. I want to help somebody be able to do better no matter where you are. If you are just starting out and you don't know what to do, whether you have made some mistakes along the line, I want to help you to get out of that. I am a child of God. And even if you are not a child of God, I believe God's plan and his purpose for each one of us is for us to prosper. I do believe within my heart that we are supposed to be the lenders and not the borrowers. I believe God had called us to be above and not beneath, even in the midst of this pandemic. I believe that we just need to know the way to go. And if we can just endure this process of this coronavirus pandemic, if we could just hold on, get our game plans together, I believe that it's going to be a magnificent season. I believe that God is going to bless us, his people, in the midst of the famine, in the midst of the storm. And even if you are not a child of God, my heart is still open to receive you and to help you along the way. But I want to create change within my community, within my region, within the world. I want to be an instrument of change and to help you. So if you feel like that is for you, I want you to send me a direct message. I want to say thank you for tuning in, for listening, and I want to say I love you. I am Arkia Higgs. I am the Bahamian Dream Starter, and I am here to help you to discover, to cultivate, and to manifest your life's purpose. Okay, I'll be here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and I hope to see you next week. I want to say thank you for listening in, whether it's the replay or not. I want to say thank you and have a blessed evening. Good night.